Hello there and welcome to yet another edition of the Lagos Transportation Agenda. As you know, this is a program which keeps you abreast of current trends, events, as well as issues in the dynamic world of transportation. My name is Austin Ian. Now, whenever the conversation turns to the issue of traffic management, what usually comes up is mostly state of vehicles, road infrastructure, as well as the personnel involved, drivers and so on, regulators. What doesn't always get discussed as frequently is safety of pedestrians, especially our youngest members of society, children and students in particular. This is where we come in. On the show today, we are going to be putting on the front burner the issue of student safety on our roads. And no better person to take us through it than an ardent and long-standing advocate of child safety on our roads in the person of Mrs Bolanle Edwards. Mrs. Edwards is the founder and CEO of Strap and Safe Child Foundation, an NGO that is focused on child safety advocacy. Welcome, Mrs. Edwards.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Mrs. Edwards and I will be discussing the topic traffic management and student safety, finding a critical balance, when the Lagos Transportation Agenda returns after this time out. Please stay.
Eku akete ilé ọgbọ́n, eku akete ilé ọgbọ́n, arọmọdé dẹ́kọ̀ máma já o, eku arọmísà lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́, arọmọdé dẹ́kọ̀ máma sá o, eku arọmísà lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́.
Welcome back. It's the Lagos Transportation Agenda, and my guest today is the founder and CEO of the Strap and Safe Child Foundation, an NGO which advocates for child safety on our roads, Mrs. Bolanle Edwards. Mrs. Edwards, let me start by asking, you have been at this for a long time, and there's no denying your passion for this particular issue. What strategies do you think schools themselves can implement to ensure student safety during those critical intervals, drop-off and pick-up periods?
Thank you for having me once again. As you all know that we are a very passion-filled, children-friendly NGO, and we are very passionate about, we're very unapologetic about children's safety in our climate Nigeria. And that's why we've come into this space some 13 years ago, just to put proper perspective into place as to how children should be safer on our roads, at school, and even at home. So talking about how school can handle their transportation problems or challenges, as it were. When it's peak hour, like we've seen in some schools, it's very important that schools have a designated pick up and drop off, places whereby children can be picked up, and cleared from every kind of mishap or accident or collision. So when you have such places for those pick up and drop off, it is tidier, it's safer, and is more secured. That way children are not running helter-skelter, or they are dropping them off on the road, which is of course very risky. This drop-off place will be properly designated with signs to show that this is where to pick up the children and also to pick them up. School buses will drive through, parents will drive through, the drivers of the children will drive through there, and when it's school time in the morning, they do so, and when it is also pick up time in the afternoon, it's properly done. So this way children are not they're properly handled.
But how about we mentioned pedestrian safety, and you realize that some of these children are pedestrians in that sense of the word, that they go on foot or on public transportation from home to school and back. How do you accommodate this one?
Okay, now in my head I was thinking, okay, those children that get dropped off, it's not all the children that really get dropped off. Some children are pedestrian from morning and also pedestrian going back home. Now we should have properly designed infrastructure for pedestrians, and you can't go wrong with that, really. You do it in such a way that you have walkways properly designed for children, and of course every other person who is a pedestrian at every point in time. When you're walking on the road, they pass through there, and when they are walking, they do not back the traffic. They face the oncoming traffic, back and forth the same way. But what we see here is that it's just convenience. You know, children are they're chit-chatty when they're walking together, just like an adult as well. They want to walk with their friends, and when they're walking with their friends, they totally forget themselves that, hey, I'm backing the traffic, and anything coming behind me, anything can happen. So they are properly, but it's important that the infrastructure that is being built for pedestrians are properly used. I know Lagos State is doing quite a bit on this part, but we need to do more as citizens. We see that a lot of walkways are being used by market people. They are displaying their wares. So really, when this is happening, you can't find any pedestrian having to use that place. So it's for us to educate, sensitize, and train those children on how better they can be a safer pedestrian on the road. And of course, we're talking about the pedestrian bridges as well. They don't cross the highway, you use the pedestrian bridge. Very important.
In your answer to my first question, you talked about designated areas for drop-off and pick-up and all that. That, I assume, is the responsibility of the school.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, how can the school, with all the relevant stakeholders, communicate these things to parents, students themselves, and staff? How do they get the buy-in, so to say, of parents?
So it's very important that there's a collaboration. There has to be collaboration between caregivers, the school owner, the parent, and even the teachers. Very important, because that's the only way you can have a proper sync of each free transportation system for you to have in your school. So I would expect that schools should probably have an avenue or a platform whereby they can disseminate information as and when due. Very important. They have the WhatsApp to make sure that they're sending out messages. They're training the staff. Training, you can't emphasize the need for training. You cannot. They have to be properly trained. Most of the staff really, at times, is not out of for some of the teachers, I'm sorry to say, not all of them are as passionate like they used to be back in the day. So when you're talking about safety, they're like, can I just go to school and teach the children and be fine? What is my own with the children? Still, I beg, I have my own children too. So really, they have to be trained and retrained and retrained. In fact, we came into the space of inclusion some 5-6 years ago. So it has been a burden for us in our hearts that we have to cater for the children with special needs. And that's why sometime during COVID, we did a lot of webinars for children living with special needs, children who need limbs, children who can hear, children who can see, children who can, all the different special needs. So we catered for them during COVID. And ever since then, we've also gone into that inclusion space in all our secondary schools. We are involved in 25 secondary schools in Lagos State right now. And what we're talking about is safe and secured space for children with ability and disability. We don't call it disability anymore. There are special needs. Everybody has, every child and every human being has got their own ability. So really, it's just for us to help them, enhance it. So last year we launched what we call a give back for children with special needs in these secondary schools by going out to tell people to please support us in building ramps for schools. Public spaces, you may have it in the private sector, but for the public spaces, we don't have children who are encouraged to go to school on the wheelchairs. Yes, some of them are on crutches, then wheelchairs, some of them don't see, they can hear, and they want to go to proper school. And again, it takes me back to the parents themselves. A lot of parents want their children with special needs to attend normal school. And if we know in this fight of the climb, if you do not have what it takes to take them to a special school, you probably would disadvantage those children.
Yes.
So for Strap and Safe Child Foundation, we have decided that inclusivity is what is part of what we do. And this year, last year, by the grace of God, we're able to give a limb or limbs, so to speak, to a child with special needs. Yes, prosthetic legs, you know, and that goes to show that we're also very concerned about their needs as well and the safety of those children. And this year as well, we're looking at building a few ramps in some of the schools we have identified who need such special assistance in the school. Of course, this goes on the infrastructure of the school, which we will have to work with what is on ground right now. It wasn't put into consideration when they were building them, but we have come into the space and to make things easier for those children, we'll build the ramps for them in and around the places where they can maneuver their wheelchairs. And for the ones who cannot really function in normal school, we'll probably have to go to a special needs school, as it were. But I'm telling you, we're in this 101%, and we're not looking back.
Wow, well said. When we return on the Lagos transportation agenda, we'll be setting an agenda for stakeholders, both in the public and private sector, on the issue of child safety and pedestrian safety as a whole, especially now that we're anticipating the return of children back to school. After this time, please stay.
Welcome on board the newly retrofitted Like Ferry, where innovation meets comfort on water. As you step onto our state-of-the-art vessel, you'll notice the modern design and enhanced facilities that prioritize your safety and enjoyment. Our retrofitting process has not only upgraded the aesthetics, but also improved the performances of the boat, ensuring a smoother and faster journey across the beautiful Lagos waterways. Feel free to explore the spacious sitting areas equipped with comfortable amenities such as life jackets for all passengers, a first aid box, fire extinguisher, all for a relaxing ride. Our knowledgeable crew is here to assist you, making your journey as enjoyable as possible. Join us as we set sail towards a more efficient and eco-friendly future, embracing technology while celebrating the vibrant culture of Lagos. Thank you for choosing Like Ferry, where every ride is a memorable adventure.
If you're just joining, it's the Lagos Transportation Agenda, and we are trying to find a critical balance on this edition of the show between student safety and traffic management as a whole. And my guest is Mrs Bolanle Edwards, founder, CEO of the Strap and Safe Child Foundation. Mrs Edwards, some years back, I was privileged to be in this West African country, and I noticed one thing. They were very intentional about student safety, especially for those who use public transport and pedestrians going to school. There seems to be a law there that on certain routes in the capital city, at least, because that's where I was, on certain routes that lead to certain schools, they make the roads free.
Okay.
You know, at certain junctures between 7 o'clock, I think, and 9.
Okay.
They make certain sections of the city free of traffic, so students can, you know, take those routes. And even if your school is not in a particular area, you take those routes to access your school, so you'll be safe, you know, from your home all the way to school. So I on this section of the program, we are going to be setting an agenda. What more? You've talked about infrastructure and everything. What more can government do? You know, if you had your way, if you were at the table of decision making, what things will you deliberately do in order to enhance what you are trying to achieve?
Okay, for free flow of traffic for children, especially during peak hours, if I hear you right.
Yes.
Yes. On the highway, I think it's very important that school partner with local authorities. Local authority like we have in Lagos State is LASMA. We should have LASMA at some very strategic trouble point junction where traffic can be daunting for every motorist, pedestrian, motorist, as it were. I've seen cases where some schools have partnered with some of these local authority guys. They have the local government guys as well. I don't know what they're called now, but those ones are also on ground. Then we also have the LASMA people who can also be on ground. at their peak hours in the morning when they're dropping them off, and when the school is closing at about 3-4 p.m. This eases up the traffic. It can be very daunting though, but I think it's something that the school should look into for some of them who have not been able to do that. Now I'm speaking for private. If you come into the public space, is this being done? I'm not sure about that. We have a lot of schools who are located on high streets, traffic prone areas, and we have seen cases where children come out at this time when there's a thick traffic ongoing, and the traffic of the pedestrian as well is all, everybody's
Together.
just on the road at the same time.
Yes.
The best the schools and the government can do in this case is to make sure that they have last mile, like I said again, and the school also should have the traffic wardens who can also assist the children who are pedestrians to move properly on the road, stop traffic for them, make them cross over to the other side of the road if need be, and also walk to their bus stop.
It's easy to see that, but do you also see the possibility or the practicability of synergy between schools, especially schools that are in the same locality? Do you see that happening? Is that something that is feasible?
Yeah, it's very, very, very feasible. I don't want to mention names of school here, but I remember there was a school, there's a school that my children attended, and those schools they are situated around Anthony in Lagos. Anthony is very prone with traffic.
Yeah.
So the schools faces each other. So when they've been able to collaborate and synergize, that when it's time for pickup, they can have this local authority situated at the, right at the junction of those two schools. So they've been able to collaborate. It's easier, it's tidier, and it's cheaper. Rather than you going, to run your own solo. Yes, it's better for you to just put funds together and just make sure that it's just it's all going to end in the same, is for the sake of the children anyway. Is their safety and security we're thinking about here, and not about the brand of the name of that school.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So now whenever we engage with guests on our show, we ask them how they're leveraging on technology to enhance the effectiveness of and timeliness of what they're doing. What's your own story as a Strap and Safe Child Foundation? How are you leveraging technology? Technology.
We're talking technology, we're talking about AI, which that's the buzz right now. Everybody is leveraging on AI to get things done.
Yes.
On the spot. We are doing that. In fact, we've been doing that since COVID. We realized that everything doesn't have to be all physical anymore. It's not about being on site to do what you have to do. It's also very important that we're considering doing a lot of things offline. So at Strap and Safe Child Foundation, we started in 2020 by having virtual webinars, whereby we are engaging all those children, and that was where our safety club actually started from. We started inaugurating a virtual safety club during COVID, which has also translated to physical safety clubs right now in schools. In all our schools, we have safety clubs running there actively. And second off, we have off and on-site days at work. We don't go to office every day. And Lagos is a very busy city, cosmopolitan city. We also have to think of how cost of transportation and all of those things. So we try to, and we still achieve better that way. Then again, we teach and train our teachers virtually. We send them videos to watch. We do what we call the TTT, train the trainers, that we've also introduced into the public space, which we've embarked, and they're getting used to it. It was daunting in the beginning, how it is with these teachers, especially in the public space. They'll tell you, we don't have data, but we try and support them as much as we can. So they're leveraging on that. And I won't let the bag out of the cart right now. We have something really special and important coming up for our Children's Day. And it's going to be about AI.
Wow.
Yes, technology, real-time information, real-time reporting, and you can't go wrong with it. I will stop at that for now so that I don't let the cat out of the car.
Okay, before I let you go, we are still setting an agenda for stakeholders. What policy, what legislative, initiative, that magic bullet that you think can just change the narrative a bit on the part of the government, the legislature, and so on. What is that magic bullet legislation you would like to see?
Okay, I'll take us a few years back. In 2016, when we celebrated our Children's Day, we had over 100 children that we took to the House of Assembly in Lagos State and Alausa. And what was the bane of our work was to go and inform the decision makers, our lawmakers, that you know what, we still have children, and those children are the future, and the future is now. Why don't you implement the law that's been put into the Constitution in Lagos State, the Child Rights Act? Okay. The 2017 Child Rights Act that says that the children have a right to their life, to their names, to their safety. Safety, they didn't really carve out something on safety per se. But we now came into that space to say, you know what, can we drop this communique with you to tell you that these are the steps that we can take? Sponsor this bill. Enact, the law has been enacted. Why can't we implement it? What stops you from implementing it? Why don't we stop the statistics from increasing the way we've had in the past years? Let's do it better. Let's do the right thing. And like I always say, that we will not give up. Yes. They took it from us and they said they will look into it. Well, it didn't sound like a very celebrated bill to sponsor, so to speak. Yes. But however, we've been talking in silos to each and one of them, that when we get the opportunity to talk to them, that this is a very laudable one. It may not look like it, but it will look like it. If in 2016 they had been able to look into that law, by now we will still have children. We won't still have children who are in the vehicles on straps. Yeah. We won't have children being flung out of the windshield when the car is in motion. We won't have children being knocked down on the road. Yes. In 2016, we did not have or envision that we were going to lose some children in 2017 or 2021. Yes. From the Millennium Secondary School in Ojudu, when children were locked down by a speeding vehicle. Imagine if this law was put into place. We won't have to be increasing the statistics every now and then. Can we do better?
Last word, we are going to talk to your people. What should we do? What do you want us to do? By us, I mean the general public, parents, guardians, everybody.
You can't give what you do not have. My take home for everyone today: please, as a caregiver, as a guardian, parents, school owners, governments, aunties, uncles, everyone, it's important that you take that mantra of, we'd rather be safe than being sorry. When you have that mantra behind your mind, you will know that it's safety first, like we say in the safety corridor. Children are the heritage of the Lord, and we want them to be secured and safe. We want them to live and take over the affairs of what is happening in our nation. Please create a better and a safer place for our children at home, on the road, and at school, so that they can grow old and they can grow better to achieve the God-given
their destiny.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Edwards.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a privilege talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week, by God's grace, at this very time on this channel, to take on yet another important discourse on the Lagos transportation agenda. Until then, like Mrs. Edwards said, let's prioritize the safety of our children, because like the song says, we are saving our own lives. God bless you. Bye-bye.